Hello and welcome to another behind the scenes video with me, an events photographer, and this time we're going to be looking at the Woolworths XTRI Triathlon held in Crabo every year in December. So let's get cracking. First job is to set the scene. In this case I went up on top of one of the hills, shot a little panorama of, it's just a 6-shot panorama showing the car park and the dam and the event race village, just to set the scene. This is the water safety crew from Big Bay Events, top-notch, highly professional, and know what they're doing. I work with them a lot. Quite critical to have water safety. Well, it's obligatory to have water safety, but if you're going to get it, get the best. This is Vicky Burta, top-class triathlete, Olympian, local triathlon star. So if you've got the stars, don't shoot for the stars, but shoot the stars. In transition, just packing away, getting the shoes and the socks and everything ready for when they come out of the water. Almost an obligatory shot if you're shooting triathlon. This is just one of the swimmers getting ready. It's nice to see the swim cap and the goggles on the forehead. It sets the tone for what's coming. And I'm not sure if I'm getting the stink eye or I'm getting winked at, but it's a photograph that appeals to me. This is Sipo Mona, one of the local commentators. Does a lot of the Ironman triathlon events as well, and runs the Velakaya Cycling Academy. Into the water, and you see the water was actually quite shallow, which is quite odd considering that 4 or 5 weeks before there'd been massive storms coming through this area that had destroyed some of the trails and part of the farm. I'll show you some photos later on of that. You see how shallow it was. People were still able to walk, but swimming's less effort, so they eventually all buckled down and did what they're supposed to do. Here's just setting the view with the vineyards coming down to the dam, the water safety team on the water. First swimmer coming out after his 2-lap swim. The boy in the background, I like this because it's a sighting stroke, so he's popping his head up to see where he's going, and straight into my camera lens. Out of the water, Revenge of the Swamp Monsters, I call it. They're coming out. Quite often they're covered in green and algae from the dams. And if we look at his watch, which we can zoom in on, we can see he's gone 902 meters in 13 minutes. Not the world's longest swim, but a fast one. Next swimmer coming out of the dam, nice low perspective at quite a wide 24 millimeters, trying to stay away from too much water because I don't want it splashed all over my equipment, which turned out to be a forlorn hope because right there he filled up the end of my lens. Not his fault, my fault for putting my camera in there. It didn't damage the lens, and quite frankly, we expect it to be abused and to come under attack every now and then. This is coming up the finishing carpet, and it's a good shot because it shows the event branding on the arch. That's always good to have for the event organizers. And a quick shot coming through transition. I didn't stay in there for more than this shot because by this stage the top 10 riders had left. I needed to be on my way. I was on an e-bike, mountain bike on this event, so even with that I wouldn't stay with the top 10 riders, not a chance. But I rate my chances to stay with the rest of them. So after this guy came through, I hopped on my bike and carried on and got out on the route so that I could be in position for the riders who were still in the water when they came past me. This one is my first stop, probably after about 400 meters as they came down around some single track on the dam with the Mbop M in the background. Coming up with Frankie Smuts, Cape Town triathlete, been around for years, 64 years old now and still going strong. In the background, those mountains, you can see the scarring on those mountains. That's from the recent floods where the landslides and the mudslides just came pouring down those mountains and caused great devastation. And yet the organizers and the farm owners managed to get it all up and running again and able to have this event run. So well done to everybody concerned. This is exactly the same spot as the previous photo. I've just gone down to a lower perspective and a lower view, and you'll see it's completely different going from there to there. I hadn't moved an inch. I just dropped down. 2 different photos. This is fine when you're walking or riding over it. It doesn't look so bad, but if you look at it from the side, quite a terrifying prospect to go over there. These are all trails that the Cape Epic uses every year. The Replay Magic Bridge took a little bit of a hard time during the floods. Some of the slats and the side supports are gone, but it was still super safe for the riders to come over it. I came from the other side before the first riders just to make sure that I didn't hold them up. These are some of the views that you're going to get. They're quite stunning. Trying to get a little bit of a perspective difference, framing the riders with some flowers just to show something more than just the bridge, because we'd already got that in the previous shots. Exactly the same place, drop the camera's perspective lower, and you get a completely different photograph. Nice shot of a rider coming through the stream, doing what I call the Moses trick with his front wheel in the water, parting it. It makes you wonder how we ever get wet feet going through water. That's what happens. The blossoms were blooming fully when this race was run, and if you suffer from hay fever, every single one of those is a little snot grenade waiting to go off. Luckily I don't. Exactly the same spot, not shooting through the bushes. This is as they came after a little hairpin bend, standing up, completely different background. You'll see this is the same rider as the one in the previous shot, and that's one of the problems you have when you're riding a mountain bike on the course to shoot the course, and you always end up overtaking or shortcutting to get to a place, only to have the same riders again and again and again in the photos. So it's a case of sometimes just sitting and waiting, or going to a completely different part of the farm where you're going to get people you haven't seen before. Otherwise the same guys are getting the attention. Again, Frank Smuts, trying to frame him through the fence coming up the hill with the dam in the background. If you're a photographer, this is the sort of rule of thirds photograph you're often going to go for, keeping the road snaking through the photograph, through the line of thirds, but leading the eye up to where they've come from and where they're going. Give you an idea of the devastation that happened on this farm. Over here, that's all been washed away down into the valley and down here, and there used to be a meandering stream there that became a full-on torrent. It actually was so strong that it picked up and carried away a forklift truck that at the time of photographing this 6 weeks after the storm, they hadn't found that forklift. The power of nature is a really scary thing when it gets unleashed like that. There you can see that used to be the stream, and it's just wiped away and scarred, and all those rocks came from up in the mountains. But a little bit higher up the hill, and we've got some nice flowers and Mother Nature regenerating itself up with the orchards. Big apple orchards and citrus orchards up in this end of the world. There's up and around a dam that's on the right hand side. It shows where the guy's going and the beauty of the area. And the lighting in this is nice, little sun poking through the clouds, luckily just as I got there. A trail of mountain bikers. These are some of the back markers struggling up a hill, probably not as fit as they'd like to be in. Makes for a great photo. This chap and his wife was just behind him. They were full of smiles and fun. It was her first triathlon, so when they got to the top, I had to take a photograph of them at his request, and there it is. Happy family, happy people. Just to show that everybody competes in triathlon. You don't have to be an 18-year-old's race snake with 2% body fat, where there's a place for all of us in the sport. On the same day as the triathlon was going on, there was a little fun walk for families and the local community and the kids. It's a little 5-kilometer jaull for them, and they thoroughly enjoy it. They all get a t-shirt and a food pack. Onto the run of the triathlon, and nice little horsey in the background. Coming down through the orchards, single row lane, beautifully frames the runner. Seldom we get a shot like that. And up and over the hill, these are all in chronological order, so what you're seeing here follows the route of the race. So now they're going out of the vineyards and over into the country where they were cycling earlier. You can see the landslides and the mudslides that have happened in the background. Farm workers all manning the water stations, so it's a day of excitement for them and a little bit of extra cash in the pocket, I guess. It's nice to see the Fair Tree cycling team getting into triathlon as well, and they did it in a relay team. This is their runner, and he went like the clappers. Young fella has some speed. A little bit of an action shot as they're jumping over the stream. This area didn't get destroyed by the floods, so there's still some nice pristine areas there. Car park for the race in the background, runner coming down past the vineyards and then down towards it. Nice little wide angle shot. And again, the two runners at the bottom of the frame with the Cribbo Valley and Elgin in the background. As you can see, the weather's picking up nicely. Steaming down the hill, still a couple of kilometers to go towards the finish. Weather's warming up nicely, and you're seeing the mountains in the background, all those mudslides that have happened there. I think it's going to take years for that to recover itself. I like this shot. He's coming around the corner and cresting a rise all at the same time, and beautifully on the left-hand third of the shot. Interesting shot this. She's coming up towards me, up a steep hill. Her skin tones and her hair colour is almost identical to the field and the foliage behind it. So I had to be very careful with the colour balance when I edited this shot, otherwise she would have just got lost in it. Another shot that looks quite easy to take, but because I'm shooting upwards into the sky, and the sky is so much brighter than the subject of the runner, then he's highly likely to become a very dark blob, or the sky is going to be blown out. So you've got to balance your tones and use your editing skills to get a photo like that coming right. But I also wanted to get the colour of the flowers. Nice shot. You're going to see another couple of shots from the same place, but looking completely different. These two coming up the hill. Exactly the same position I'm shooting from, and shooting a little bit wider, showing more of the background and more of the mountains. And then as she turned left by me, she went up the hill. It looks like an entirely different place. So just a little cheat you can learn is to just try and stand in one place and make it look like 5 different places. It's a good game to play. Trying to get the environment of the farm. It's a working farm, so it all still continues on race day, albeit at a slightly slower pace, but you're highly likely to come across a farm bucky or a tractor and get a friendly wave from the workers somewhere on the route. And as a finishing shot, this is a 20-shot panorama taken from the other side of the dam, slightly up the hill, of the whole race village and the parking area and the beauty of the area. And if that doesn't make you want to come back and enter this race next year, then send me an email as to why, because I want to know what's wrong with you. That's it. That's my view of the Woolworths XTRI, held at the beautiful Paul Cluver farm in Elgin in the Western Cape. If you like this video, please click the like, and if you can bring yourself to do it, then subscribe to the channel, because then I'll know that you want to watch these videos and I'll continue making them. So until next time, cheers.